Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Scott Cope, and I'm the Director of Commercial Sales at Enterprise Bank and Trust. I serve on the Olathe Chambers Board Executive Committee, and it's my honor to moderate today's forums. On behalf of the Johnson County Public Policy Council, a collaboration of all 10 area chambers of commerce, in particular on behalf of today's co-host, the Olathe and Lenexa Chambers of Commerce, thank you for attending our candidate event featuring Kansas House Districts 49, 30, and 14. I'd like to begin by sharing the format of our forums this afternoon, which will include 3-minute opening statements by the candidates, a moderated question and answer period, in which during the candidates will each have 1.5 minutes to respond, followed by a 2-minute closing statement. The format, questions, and time limits will be the same for every candidate, and due to time constraints, there will be no follow-up questions, formal rebuttal time, or audience participation. Candidate speaking order has been randomly determined with the candidates and will rotate throughout the program. Questions have been prepared in advance by the chamber staff based on member input and have not been shared with the candidates. We will begin today with House District 49, and at the conclusion of that forum, we'll take a short intermission before beginning with the forum for House District 30. Now, if everyone will please take a moment to make sure cell phones are silenced, let's begin. I'll first introduce our Republican primary election candidate for House District 49. This district includes portions of Northeast Olathe. Fushan Desalegn, Republican Party candidate, graduated from Olathe South High School and was competitively selected as a 2017 Global Scholar at the University of Kansas, one of only 15. Based on his strong academic record and interest in global studies, his academic areas of interest include computer science and supply chain management. He enjoys spending time with his family and officiating local high school baseball and soccer games. Republican candidate Megan Lynn was invited to participate in today's event but was unable to attend due to work commitments. Democratic general candidate Darnell Hunt was invited to participate in today's event as well but was also unable to attend. Fushan, now we'll start with you with a 3-minute opening statement.
Hello, everyone. My name is Fushan Desalegn, and I am the Kansas House Republican primary candidate for District 49. I'm running because I feel concerned about the lack of attention toward transportation spending in this state. Over the past several years, I've noticed the state continuously decreased KDOT's funding, while at the same time KDOT has had to continuously postpone modernization and expansion projects. These projects are now starting to accumulate in the hundreds of millions of dollars, and I believe that if we don't address this situation quickly, we will end up as our neighbors in Missouri, where they have a multi-million-dollar shortfall every single year and are failing to adapt to the needs of businesses in those states. I believe that transportation is a very important topic in Kansas. If we don't focus on this now, we fail to provide businesses with the required infrastructure necessary to transport goods and services across this great state of Kansas. I also have another priority, which is a stable budget. Over the past several years, I've also been disappointed in my government in not being able to provide a stable budget to businesses. If we cannot provide a stable budget, businesses will have no reason to invest in Kansas because they will not see Kansas as an opportunity for growth, but possibly as a deterrence, and will move possibly to neighboring states. Another priority I have is education. I know that businesses highly value college graduates, and I want to make sure that higher education spending is increased, but also with efficacy as well. I don't want my tax dollars going to higher education administrations that are far beyond what they should have been in their original scope. I believe that if we can find these costs and reduce it, we can provide lower tuition to students and as a result lower the student debt burden and give future Kansans the opportunity to invest and stay here. Thank you.
We will now move on to a question and answer period of the program. The first question, what are your views on state tax policy?
My views on tax policy currently are I'd prefer a lower sales tax but a slightly higher income tax. And I say that because I know whenever I go to a superstore and I see a sales tax at 9.475%, I feel a little bit discouraged on spending my hard-earned dollars in consuming goods. I believe that if we can lower the sales tax, we can increase spending, we can increase consumer spending, and as a result create more jobs that more people would like to have. A slightly higher income tax, while it may be unfavorable to some, I believe can provide a much more stable source of revenue for the government. And instead of having to go year to year worrying about how much revenue we'll have a much more stable outlook on what the state of Kansas will have.
Question number 2. With record low unemployment rates challenging businesses' ability to find enough employees, what would you do to grow and develop the state's workforce?
What I would do to grow the state's workforce is I would focus on K through 12, particularly the juniors and seniors that are currently in K through 12 right now. I'd offer them opportunities, scholarship opportunities for vocational schools because professions in those areas are on the rise and are very high paying. And I think this is the future of Kansas. We need to invest in vocational schools because if we do not, we will risk losing a lot of people and a lot of businesses. And could you repeat that question one more time?
Absolutely. With record low unemployment rates challenging businesses' ability to find enough employees, what would you do to grow and develop the state's workforce?
I would continue to do what I said, and also I would provide tax credits to businesses if they invest in their workforce, such as providing them with a graduate level education, such as a master's degree in business administration or any other master's degree that the business finds useful.
Okay, question number 3. Topeka as a whole appears poised to refocus on the state's infrastructure. What would your priorities be in any new statewide transportation plan?
My first priority is funding Phase 3 of the Johnson County Gateway Project. If we can fund Phase 3, we can finally address all the infrastructure jams that we've been having in Johnson County. The second priority I would have is expanding US 69 from 119th Street to 159th Street from 4 lanes to 6 lanes. That would provide a lot more. That would provide a lot more room for commuters and businesses. Because currently, even at say 10 o'clock this morning, it's still crowded, and it should not be crowded at 10 o'clock in the morning. My third priority would be to replace the aging infrastructure in Kansas. Currently, we have a lot of infrastructure that is well beyond the date of replacement, and if we can focus on that infrastructure, that will pay dividends down the road, so we don't have to have a higher bill at the end.
Question number 4. What are your views on funding K-12 education?
My views on K through 12 funding for education. Currently, the education budget takes approximately 60% of the budget. I do not believe that this is sustainable for the long term. And I believe that there are cost savings that we can find in K through 12 education that will provide us with much needed support and relief in the long term. I believe in long distance learning. If there is a way we can provide students with alternative education that will hold them to the same high standards as they do in traditional schools, we can provide taxpayers with much needed relief.
Question number 5. Describe what you see as the Kansas advantage when it comes to economic development and tourism, and the types of economic development policies you would support to encourage job growth and business expansion in Kansas.
So just to clarify on that question, you are asking what is the main item that I think is the advantage for Kansas?
I'll reread it for you about that. That way I don't have to interpret it for you.
Okay.
Describe what you see as the Kansas advantage when it comes to economic development and tourism, and the types of economic development policies you would support to encourage job growth and business expansion in Kansas.
I believe the Kansas advantage is our infrastructure. Although I did say that I was concerned about the level of infrastructure spending, in the past, because we heavily invested in our infrastructure, that is our advantage right now. That is how we are attracting businesses. That is how we are attracting BNSF to Southwest Johnson County and able to create that intermodal facility that is bringing thousands of new jobs to local Johnson Countans. I believe that is also an advantage because if we cannot provide stable roads for our businesses, we risk losing businesses because they will have to incur higher costs for transporting goods and services. And if they have to incur higher costs for transporting goods and services, they will leave for states that have better infrastructure.
Okay, our last question, question number 6. What is the most important thing that distinguishes you from your opponents in this race?
I believe that my main point versus the other candidates is my focus on infrastructure. I focus on infrastructure a lot. I'm hugely fond of infrastructure because without it, we can't be here today. We wouldn't be here today without good infrastructure, without good roads, without good bridges, without good maintenance crews. Without them, we wouldn't be here today. And I believe that my focus on infrastructure will pay dividends down the road in the form of more businesses coming here, more people coming here, and overall a higher tax revenue for the state of Kansas, which will allow us to fund necessary programs.
Now we'll move to the wrap-up session of this forum, so we'll have a closing statement for 2 minutes. Go ahead.
So you've heard what I have said about infrastructure, about education, and about a stable budget. I hope that today you take away something that I have told you. We cannot postpone infrastructure projects. If we do this, we will risk putting ourselves into a deeper and deeper hole, and we will wake up one day and realize that the great infrastructure that the state of Kansas had no longer exists, and we will have to pay a huge, huge cost to the taxpayers in the form of a much higher tax rate than what we can already support. I believe that if we focus on this issue now and not later, we can reduce the burden to taxpayers and as a result, provide good roads to good businesses and good paying jobs to hardworking Kansans. My name is Fasasan Dasalan. I'm running for Kansas House District 49, and I hope you will vote for me.
That concludes our forum for House District 49. Let's thank our candidate for participating in today's program. We'll now take a short intermission before reconvening for our next forum, House District 30.